But part of the problem the company isn't doing well may be, in fact, because the employees aren't doing right by the company either.
So the big question is this: how are leaders like you that recognize people and technology are the backbone of the company they're building continue to make progress when they have no clear idea on how to develop individuals and utilize technology in a way that helps them remain profitable? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. This is Tom and Michaela, and welcome to the Heart and Hustle Podcast.
What are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about everything.
Over and over, the same thing over and over again.
Yes, over and over and over again. Welcome back to the Heart and Hustle Podcast. The little red light up there means you are being recorded. Did you know that? Over and over and over again. You know, I heard this joke. Can I tell you a joke?
Yeah, I love your jokes sometimes.
You may know this, but if you do, play along because maybe you don't.
Okay, I'll play along either way.
Did you know?
No, I did not know. Tell me.
That's Stephen Hawking. You know Stephen Hawking?
I know Stephen
Hawking.
The guy
that guy?
Yes.
Not very politically correct, but that guy?
Not politically correct at all.
And Evel Knievel.
Yes.
They both had an IQ of 160.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a fact.
That's major.
They both had a love of ramps, too.
That's a terrible joke.
Terrible joke. But you know what could be better than that?
What?
The news about Better.
Oh, the news about Better.
Better.com.
Yeah.
You've been following it?
A little bit.
I've
caught glimpses of some pretty heated comments.
What do you think about? I mean, you have. I can't say this. No, I can't say this. You have never worked for what I would consider a large company.
No, I haven't. Not thousands and thousands of employees. No.
Have you ever worked for a company that had to do layoffs or RIFs, reduction in force?
No.
Or anything like that?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever known anybody? Of course, your brother. Your brother works for a very large company.
Oh, yeah. They lay off people all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Seasonal, depending on workload. I mean, they live in that.
It depends on workload. Yeah.
Yeah, they work in the automotive sector, and if life happens.
Yep. If they don't have work, you don't get called to work.
So, as most of you may or may not know, Better.com laid off, 900?
900.
900 people.
Mm-hmm.
So 900 individuals across the land, probably across the world.
Probably.
That they laid off 900 individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty much immediate termination.
Mm-hmm. Gave them a severance package and benefits for a few months.
Let's talk about that. And I'd like to play the video here, a piece of it, or I think Victoria can link it below. I'll have a link to it. But essentially the CEO of Better.com, Vishal, I don't know his last name. I just remember the first name Vishal because we have a client named Vishal. And he did a Zoom video where he invited all of the employees of Better.com that were being laid off onto one big Zoom meeting. And he sat there in front of the employees on a Zoom meeting. I'm guessing it was live. It wasn't pre-recorded. And it was one way where he spoke, but nobody else could really comment.
Oh, they commented.
Well, and they commented like a ton of comments. But he basically said like the key points, like the company's not doing super well. Mm-hmm. We have been, falling in productivity. We've been falling in revenue and, all the cliche terms. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, they just can't afford to have these 900 people. Mm-hmm. So he laid them off.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. I come to you with not great news. The market has changed, as you know, and we have to move with it in order to survive so that hopefully we can continue to thrive and deliver on a mission. This isn't news that you're going to want to hear, but ultimately it was my decision and I wanted you to hear from me. It's been a really, really challenging decision to make. This is the second time in my career I'm doing this, and I do not want to do this. The last time I did it, I cried. This time I hope to be stronger. But we are laying off about 15% of the company for a number of reasons. The market, efficiency, and performances, and productivity. If you're on this call, you are part of the unlucky group.
Fuck you,
That
dude.
is being laid off. Your employment here is terminated effective immediately.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What does this mean for what's next? You're going to get an email from HR, askhr@better.com, to your personal email address
Fuck
regarding
you,
the
dude.
details of your severance and your benefits. For all U.S. employees, we're providing 4 weeks of severance, 1 month of full benefits, and 2 months of COBRA, for which we will pay the premium. So 3 months total benefits if you elect for COBRA. If you don't get a communication from askhr@better.com before the end of the day, you can email askhr@better.com. Thank you for each and every one of yours individual contributions to Better. I wish the news was different. I wish we were thriving enthusiastically as we were at the beginning of this year. But that's not the case. And I am sure you will leave us and be more successful, more fortunate, and luckier in your next endeavor. I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you for everything you've done for Better. Thank you.
And credit to him, he did it himself without having his team, his HR team, do it for him.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to him for at least having the balls to do it himself, because I know a lot of CEOs just pass that on to their
They do.
HR team to break that news.
They do. And he broke the news, explained, I think, very good on why he did it. And, not that he did it in the most empathetic way. I think he did it in kind of a CEO/empathetic way. I think he was genuine. And he basically said, listen, we cannot afford to have these extra 900 people. You're terminated today. However, we're going to give you a 30-day severance, meaning that we're going to pay you for 30 days. Mm-hmm. And they're also going to give them more or less 3 months of health insurance coverage. So it was basically 30 days, and then they're going to pay for the first 2 months of COBRA beyond that, essentially giving 30 days of healthcare coverage. Mm-hmm. So severance of a month, 4 weeks, healthcare coverage. Mm-hmm. And he basically said goodbye. Mm-hmm. And he is getting manhandled.
He is getting definitely blasted for sure.
And people are saying things like,
the problem is, in my opinion, this is not the first time this has happened. I'm not sure why this is coming as such a shock, because it has happened continuously over the decades, especially the last 2 years. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of what's to come with companies having to lay people off and having to lay a mass amount of employees off. And how do you handle 900 employees? I mean, it's not like the CEO can call them individually.
Yeah.
And how do you handle it?
I think you invite everybody to a Zoom meeting and you can talk about it.
That's what he did, but he is getting lambasted for being unempathetic, and this is why the workforce is leaving in droves, because of the way employees are treated.
And I don't agree with that at all.
But some of these employees, from what I understand, are actually being fired for a cause too. It's not like the only reason is because the company isn't doing well, but part of the problem the company isn't doing well may be in fact because the employees aren't doing right by the company either.
They're not. And
I mean, they had statistic after statistic about employees who are clocking in or claiming to work 8-hour days, only working for 2-hour days.
That's right.
Well, that's not fair to the company either.
That is correct.
So why is it that the employer is getting completely blasted and the employees who have helped them get into the situation they're in have no accountability,
Yeah.
or they're the ones who are the victims here.
Well, and it's funny. It's like those employees that what you're talking about. There were roughly 250 employees. Now, this is from what I read. This is from what I heard from, I think, very good sources. This isn't made up. This isn't like some blog that someone just lamented about. This was essentially, there were 250 employees of the 900 that were working on average about 2 hours a day, but they were clocking in for 8+ hours a day.
Yeah, that's not right.
And therefore, the productivity wasn't done. Well, then they're saying, well, how do you know that? Well, we all know there's tools. Like if you have remote home employees, there are tools that companies can employ to actually watch for that. Now, I don't know if they used any of those tools. However, what they said is, based on the amount of phone calls that certain employees got during the daytime, or how many times it went to voicemail, or how many times they read their email or checked their email or responded to an email. And those were just a few of examples.
Yeah.
And, or maybe how many times their computer was on. I don't know. There's ways you can tell that super easily if you're with inside the IT groups. And you can do the math. And you can say, well, these work-at-home people are not really super efficient. They're kind of using the company, and we're losing money. Mm-hmm. And depending on how they charge, which I doubt they charge by the hour by any means, they're just solely on revenue of what's coming in. They're not getting the productivity levels for 250 people, and say they're losing 6 hours, 6 hours a day
per employee for 250 employees.
Yeah, and it adds up. I mean, you just can't expect it. But now they're getting lambasted saying, listen, you are not going to be, you're not a good employer. You're violating, certain legal laws. There's a lot of HR professionals in which the groups.
And I'm not saying that the CEO or the Better.com did everything perfectly by any means, but this is not uncommon. This is not anything new. And we're going to see it over and over again in the next 12 to 18 months with all the effects of the economy, the effects of the workers shortage, the effects of just everything going on. We're going to see it continually over the next 18 months. Is every employer who has to do layoffs because their company isn't making it going to be made to be the asshole employer? I'm having a hard time with it. And you and I both know that there's always more to the story on either side, on the employer's side and on the employee side. Kind of goes back to our conversation last week about Indeed and, some of the Glassdoor and some of the things where employees can say whatever the hell they want for no consequence, and the employer is kind of stuck dealing with whatever it is that they have to deal with. That's not fair either.
I know. So if truth holds up, of those 900 people that got let go at Better.com, they're probably going to have 2,200 negative reviews from those 900 people.
Oh yeah, they're being destroyed right now.
Mm-hmm. It's not good. So
whatever is left of that company, they're going to struggle.
They are. But at the end of the day, they had to make a business decision. I was part of. For those that know me, I worked for a very large credit reporting company years ago called Experian. I then transitioned into a large company called Nelnet. And inside both those companies, they had reduction in forces.
And they happen all the time. They still happen.
They've
happened in the last year, have they not?
Yeah, I don't know.
2 years? 3 years?
I can't say. I can say.
Or were they helped with all the COVID money?
No. I think they had some large ones that happened, but I think certain departments in certain areas for sure had layoffs.
Yes.
And they weren't like public. It wasn't like, 500 folks. But there were times at which there were massive layoffs inside the company. And they gave us all warning saying, hey, this is going to happen. And then I think when it happened with us, I think there was like some sort of notice that said, dear employee, on this date is going to be your last date.
Yes.
But sometimes that was months in advance.
Well, and that's the warn notice. Yeah. And that is one thing that they are saying that Better did not do is handle that appropriately. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't know the details of that either, but.
And maybe they, as opposed to giving them to a month. Yeah, I can't comment on that. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know the details there.
But I know from a personal aspect, for being on the other end of that potential, I have never been laid off from a job. I mean, who the hell would lay me off?
Who would ever?
Who'd do that? But I've been subject to friends that have been laid off or had a reduction in force inside their department, and just knowing like on the outcome that like senior management is going to announce this is like, it's scary. I mean, it literally makes you go home at night and not sleep, and then you start to say, well, should I be looking for a job? Am I gonna, poke the bear a little bit, maybe just go out to the help wanted articles and start to read those? I mean, it's like if we would say, my gosh, team, we're not doing super well, we might potentially have to lay some people off soon, depending on sales over the next quarter, and kind of get all executive. I'll bet you our entire team would be shaking in their boots.
They would be.
They would be. But what I also think is that I also feel that there's a lot of CEOs, there's a lot of executives out there that are dipping their greedy fingers in the pot. They're taking sometimes millions and millions and millions of dollars off the table for their personal needs, to have their yacht, to have their house, to have their Lamborghinis, to have everything else. And I think that is wrong. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just really scary. I think it's really scary out there. Like you said, I think a lot of folks are going to be, nervous for the many months to come. I think prices are increasing like crazy. Cost of living is going way up. People large companies are tied to contracts that they signed many years ago, or sometimes just years ago, that they're held
months ago,
that they're held to deliver on, at which when they deliver on those contracts now, the prices, their costs have gone up, but they have to deliver the contract or the product now at what would be considered like a loss.
Yep.
What are they going to do?
Yep. This is just the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know. Thumbs up, thumbs down with Vishal and how he handled it. Personal.
I don't know enough details to be able to say that with any intelligence. From what I've seen and from what I've read, he did the best he could with the circumstances he had.
Absolutely.
Is there a couple things I think maybe he should have done a little bit differently? Yes. And on the flip hand side, we're talking, I mean, how else would you do it?
Yeah.
Again, like I said, a lot of people get a letter from the HR secretary.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At least he had the guts to do it himself.
For me, 100% thumbs up. I think he did it the right way. I agree with you. I think there's always a policy or a process that he may violate, but at the end of the day, he had to get 900 people out of there. He had to get the money off the books. He had to keep the company going without falling apart. And sometimes you just rip the Band-Aid off. You do it. You deal with the outcome, and you move on.
Yeah.
But
time will tell, I'm sure, because people are not going to be quiet about this issue, I'm sure.
No. Give me your thoughts behind it. Comment below. Let Michaela know your thoughts. I mean, she would love to jump into the comments. She's been jumping in the comments on our blogs, and I don't know. Probably not getting the best of love, but it is what it is. It's a mustard-colored cardigan, so. You know what that looks like?
What?
We made Caesar salad the other night.
Yeah.
Victoria, find the picture. I took a picture of like all the ingredients. The mustard. It matches.
Yeah, it does. It's a mustard-colored sweater for sure.
It is. There you go. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a great night. And hopefully we kept this podcast under 10, 11, 12 minutes. So
I think we probably did.
I think we did.
Yay.
Great. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.